Hello, this is Spidey1958 and welcome to my Pathfinder Kingmaker builds. This level we're going to build a Druid. We're going to do a few things different here and there, but pretty much just going to be a Dex built Druid, and I'll explain a couple decisions and options as I go along to try to make it as informative as possible. So let's go ahead, and I've already chosen the character and the basic race, so you can see that. And you know how I like to make the pictures and the characters match as close as I can, so let's go ahead and do next. Okay, so like I said, we're going to make him a Druid, so let's go ahead and select Druid. And we're going to stick with a standard Druid, so let's go ahead and do next. And we're going to go with a Plume Cliff, which is a Garuda-blooded. They basically get +2 Dex and +2 Wisdom, a +2 racial bonus on mobility and athletic checks, and they can use the invisibility spell once per day. And then we get our choice of Animal Companion or Domain. Really, I don't know why you would check Domain. You could if you want. Now you sort of can do a weird thing. You could take Animal Domain, which would still let you get an Animal Companion and the extra Domain spells, but you wouldn't get the Companion to 4th, and I don't know at the feat to make the Companion more level the Companion up would work in that particular case. But we're going to go with an Animal Companion, so let's go ahead and select next. And we got all sorts of choices here. So Wolf is actually a reasonable choice in that they get a +8 strength at 7th level and some dex minus, and they're basically a 1d6 plus they get the trip. The other one we could go is the Smiley-Don, which I'm leaning towards because, as you notice, it has slightly less armor, but it also has like 5 attacks, which means that even with its lower strength, well, it's got the same strength. And it goes up about the same. So we're going to go ahead and go with the Smilodon, which is basically a saber-tooth tiger. Let's go ahead and check that. Bink. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and do next. And we get our ability scores. We're, of course, going to put an 18 in Wisdom, and an 18 in Dex, and then we're going to put the extra points into Strength. So you could do a Strength build. The issue is in your animal form, almost nothing helps your armor class. None of your armor, none of those pluses. The only thing you'd get would like be rings of protection in that. I don't even think natural armor class amulets work because they wouldn't stack with your natural armor bonus you get from the form. So that's, but you could go with strength. You would do more damage. You just have a much lower armor class, like 5 to 6 points lower. And since armor class is a huge issue when you're in your various forms, that's my personal preference. But like I said, you are perfectly valid to put it in strength and just have a lower dex, or put it all in strength and just put in con, the extras in con, so you have a few more hit points. So let's go ahead and choose. We get 3 basic skills, and as usual, I recommend lately it's better to specialize in a few skills probably, because your party will help you out. So let's go ahead. We definitely want a perception. That's a strong suit for them. We definitely want nature lore. So then we got the other 1 point. Now we could put it, both athletics and mobility both get a plus in it. Athletics, they would get to add their strength bonus. Mobility. So let's go ahead, at least for now, put 1 in mobility. That gives us a plus in mobility. And that, whether we keep that, we will worry about later. So let's go ahead and do next. Okay, so we get 1 feat, And the feat I'm going to take at first level because we don't have any extra con. The first level feat is going to be our old favorite, toughness. So that will give us 3 more hit points starting out, and will give us basically ultimately 1 hit point per level once we get 3rd or higher. So gives us a few more hit points with a low con. So let's go ahead and go next. And what should we pick?
I will see this through.
Yep, let's go ahead and go with Pious, and we shall call her Drew. Drew the Druid. And she has to be a neutral. I'm actually going to go neutral law. And that just because my own personal preference. It's easier. I like the bonus for lawful kingdoms. I think makes lawful kingdoms much easier to run, which actually makes sense to me. And so we're going to go ahead and do lawful. So let's go ahead and do next. Oh, we should pick a birthday. We'll do 5/1. That's sort of would be the equivalent of May 1st. So let's go ahead and do next. So there we have it. It's starting. We're going to have a 14 armor class right now because we have no armor or anything. And those are combat maneuvers. We're going to be +2 melee, +4 ranged. And that gives us our basics. So let's go ahead and complete this character, and then I will be back in a little bit after I magically add a whole bunch of experience to him. So hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back here with Drew the Druid. So let's go ahead and select her. Okay, so the next level really doesn't do much for us. It will give us more spells. No feats or anything like that. So leveling up, showing her. Now the question is, do we want to put run rank in here? Which would give us, what, a 6 in it? Nat, I say we stay with specializations and go ahead and just do the same 3 skills up each time. Boom. And basically that's what they get. So another level. Next. Boom, boom, boom. And I think for this level we're going to take dodge. Now you could start on your summoning help spells earlier, which we are going to add feats to help that. But for now I think it's the summonings for the lower levels really isn't that super effective because you waste around and they don't stick around that long. So I think it's more important at this level to go ahead and get dodge. Dodge will help with your armor class. It stacks in your animal and elemental forms. So it's a good feat to have. So let's go ahead and do next. And complete. Next level in Druid. This is again just more spells. We do get to give a point here. Now you need to have, by the time you're 17th or 18th level, I forget what level you get 9th level spells, but you have to have a 19 wisdom before then, because otherwise you can't get 9th level spells. So we're going to go ahead and concentrate on wisdom for that one. So let's go ahead and do next. Oh, we got to do our rank ups here. I almost forgot. Next. And complete. Now we've got our first wild shape wolf, which basically when we turn into a wolf we get +2 strength bonus for our size, +2 natural armor class bonus. Our movement speed is increased by 20 feet, and we get a 1d6 die attack with the tripping bite ability, which is a neat ability. Basically, you trip someone as a free action. You try to trip someone as a free action if you hit with your bite attack. And the neat thing about it is when they stand back up, you get an attack of opportunity on it. So it is a good thing for low level in that. So it does require you to actually be able to hit low. And then you have your Resist Nature's Lore, where you basically get a +4 on saving throws against spell-like and supernatural abilities of Fae and plants. So that took our armor class when not in animal form up to 18. And in wolf form, we would basically be a 17 armor class, which isn't horrible, but is much better than being a 12 armor class. Now, the rings do stack. So rings of protection are probably your best item for druids. So let's go ahead and complete. Next level. Next. And boom, boom, boom. And now for the 5th level feat that I believe every single druid should always take is their 5th level feat. Because it's the soonest they can take it. And it's an incredibly important feat for them if they're going to use their shape-shifting. It's Nature's Spell. This lets them, without this, when they're in animal form or elemental form, they cannot use any of their spells. So you definitely want that at 5th level. I don't care what your druid build is. If you are going to use your animal or elemental forms, you want that feat at 5th level. So let's go ahead and do next. Boom. And we see we got lots of new spells and that. I'll go over the spells in a little bit here. And complete. Okay, next level, 6th level druid. 6th level druid, we're going to get our, basically our leopard form and our small elemental. So let's go ahead and select our skills here. Boom, boom, boom. Next. Okay, so leopard. Leopard gets you a +2 to strength and a +2 natural armor bonus, and you get 2 claws in the bite. So you get more, you don't get the trip anymore, but you get 3 attacks instead of 1 attack. So now the elementals, the small elementals, you basically get +2 bonus to your strength, +4 natural armor, and a +1 to your attack damage rolls and combat maneuvers. You also gain the 1d6 slam attack, resist, in earth elemental you get resist acid 20 and vulnerability electricity, and your movement is reduced by 10 feet. If you're a water elemental, you basically don't get that +1 hit, but you do get that your attacks do 1d4 cold damage in addition to your normal damage, and those affected by your freeze ability must make a reflex save or start freezing, taking 1d4 points of damage each round for an additional 1d4 rounds. Creatures that hit a freezing creature with natural weapons or unarmed attacks take cold damage as though hit by the freezing creature and must succeed at a reflex save to avoid freezing. So this is a great melee ability. So don't forget it is one of the forms you can use. So air elemental, you basically get +2 to your dex, +2 natural armor bonus. You notice here you got +4. Here you got +4. Here you only get +2. And you get resist electricity and you're vulnerable to acid. Your movement speed increases and you gain 1d4 slam attack with the whirlwind ability. So the reason the air elemental is wimpier by itself is you can transform into a whirlwind and back again. The whirlwind is 15 feet wide, and every creature that spins around in the whirlwind must succeed at a reflex save or take 1d4 bludgeoning damage. While in the whirlwind form, it cannot attack, but is able to use abilities. And that. So you wouldn't want to do that standing right next to your party, but... And then we have the fire elemental, who again only gets a +4 natural armor bonus, gets resist fire 20, vulnerability to cold. Your movement speed is increased by 20, and you gain a 1d4 slam attack. But you also deal 1d4 damage in addition to damage dealt on successful. Those affected by the burn ability must also succeed a reflex save or catch fire. So It's very similar to the cold, except that you light people on fire. And creatures that hit you, so just remember both of those, as they can be defensive, that when people hit you, they get hurt too. Though the damage is small enough at higher levels, but then you'll have your bigger forms. So let's go ahead and complete. Next level. Next level, all we get is a feat. So let's go ahead and do next. Boom, boom, boom. Next. Okay, for this level, we're going to start making our summon creatures. I don't know if I explained this. Druids can, you know how clerics can substitute for cure spells? Druids can substitute for summon nature's allies. So summoning is a big part of them. So what you probably want to do is, we're going to get spell focus, conjuration. It doesn't help us greatly because, I mean, basically it gives us a +1 for all saving throws against spells from a school of magic where you don't really save very often. But there are some conjuration attack spells, so there are some that will apply. But mostly we need this to get 2 other feats that we want to get. So let's go ahead and do next. And complete. So let's do another level in our Druid. This level we're going to basically get our Venom immunity. Next. We get an extra point here. Now at this point we've got our 19. So we could start putting it in Dex so we get the 1 more Dex thing sooner. But I think we'll go ahead and just get the +5 on our Wisdom, which will affect our attack rolls with spells. So let's go ahead and get the same standard 3 feats. Next. So now we get the bear shape, which is a +4 bonus to strength, +4 size bonus to our strength, -2 penalty to our dex. So we actually drop a little armor class here, but we do get a +4 armor bonus. So our movement speed is increased by 10. We have 2 1d6 claw attacks and 1d6 bite, and the rend ability. Basically, when you hit an opponent with both claws, it deals an additional 1d6 plus 1.5 times your strength modifier points of slashing damage. It can only deal this additional damage once per round. So even though you have 2 claws, you can only rend with 1 of the claws, is what that basically means. And basically, our elemental shapes, we get more. We do 1d8 with our slam here. Here we do 1d8 with our slam, and our cold does 1d6. Here our whirlwind, we do 1d6 with our slam, and our whirlwind does 1d6. And here we do 1d6 with our slam, and our fire does 1d6 additional. So let's go ahead and complete. Druid. I guess I was confused. Apparently this level we get. I was confused. Next. Okay, boom. Boom, boom. Next. Okay. So what we want to get at this level is augment summoning. What this means, any creature we conjure with our spells will get a +4 enhancer bonus to strength and con. So they're basically going to have +2 more hit and damage and +2 more hit per level for hit points. So definitely, if you're going to be a summoner type, it is one of those feats you want to get. I would like to get it sooner, but with this build, there wasn't really a way to get it sooner. So let's go ahead and do next. And complete. Okay, so next level in Druid. This level we're going to get some more forms, which we'll go over in a second. And we're up to +10 on all our various feats. So next. So now we get Smilodon, which gets a +4 size bonus to strength, -2 to dex, +4 natural armor, Movement speed increased by 10 gets 4 1d8 claw attacks and 1 2d6 bite and the pounce ability. Which basically means when we charge as a Smilodon, we basically get all 5 of our attacks in the charge. So, really nice thing to have. The large elemental basically gets +6 bonus to strength, -2 penalty to dex, +2 bonus to con, so you actually get more hit points in this form. +6 natural armor bonus, and a +1 bonus to attack, damage rolls, and combat maneuvers. Now get a 2d6 slam, and basically the similar stuff you had before. Oh, also you're now immune to critical hits and sneak attacks when you're in elemental form. Which you should have been before, I think, but I could be wrong. And water now gets basically only a +2 strength bonus, +6 bonus to con, but I get a bigger con bonus, 6 armor class. You gain 2 1d8 slam attacks, so you get 2 attacks now. You're immune to critical hits and sneak attacks. And your cold damage now does a d8. So your large fire elemental, you now only +2 strength, +4 size bonus to dex. So you actually get more dex as a water elemental, so you're going to get even more armor class, or as an air elemental, excuse me. And you gain 2d8 slam attacks in the whirlwind ability. You're immune to critical hits and sneak attacks when you're in your elemental form, and you're increased by 30. So this is probably one of the more viable forms to be in, but that's up to you. You also get fire, where you get +4 to your dex, +2 to your con, +4 natural. You get your fire resistance, your vulnerability. You gain 1d8 slam attacks, and you get your fire damage. Now there's a new one in this one that you didn't get before, which is the Shambling Mound. You become a large Shambling Mound. You gain a +4 bonus to your strength, +2 size bonus to your con, +4 natural armor class, resist fire 20, resist electricity 20. You actually move slower, but you get 2d6 slam attacks, the constricting vine abilities, and the poison abilities. So constricting vines basically coil around any creature hit with a slam attack. The Slamming Mound attempts a grapple check against its target, and on a successful check, its vines deal 2d6 +5 damage, and the foe is grappled. Grappled characters cannot move, take a -2 penalty on all attack rolls, and a -4 to dexterity. Grappled characters attempt to escape every round by making a successful combat maneuver, strength, athletics, or mobility check. The DC of this check is the Shambling Mound's CMD. Each round, creatures grappled by a Shambling Mound suffer 4d6 plus strength modifier times 2 damage. So this is a nasty if they don't escape. It might, if you're going to build around this, you probably want to take feats to build up your CMD. But that would be up to you. And then you have Poison, Slam, Fortitude Save, frequency once per round for 2 rounds. Does 1d2 strength, 1d2 dex, and Cure is 1 save. So, and it's a con-based save because it's a poison. So let's go ahead and complete. We only get 1 more elemental form here. So next. Well, it's actually 4 more, but. So next. We get another feat at this point. Since we're Asmir. Is that right? Asmir? And that we are going to take Wings. This is a feat only for that race. And that, but it basically, when you have your wings, you gain a +3 dodge bonus to AC against melee attacks and immunity to ground-based effects such as difficult terrain. And it does seem to stay, since it's a dodge bonus, it seems to affect you in your other forms. So it basically gives you a armor class bonus even when you're in your other forms. Though it doesn't show up in the character display, but it doesn't show up normally anyway. So let's go ahead and do next. Boop. And complete. So our next level, we get our last shapeshift form, which is huge elemental. And go ahead and do next. Whoops, we get a buy here. So we're going to put it in the dexterity. So next. Okay, so our huge form. So for air elemental, we get a +4 bonus to our strength, +6 size bonus to our dex, +4 armor class bonus, so that we're going to have a huge armor class bonus. Resist electricity 20, vulnerability to acid, just like before. We gain 2d6 slam attacks and the whirlwind ability. We're immune to critical hits and sneak attacks and gain DR5. Our movement speed is increased by 30. And our whirlwind is up to 2d6. So fire, we basically get +6 bonus to our dex, +4 to our con, +4 natural armor. Resist fire 20, vulnerability to cold. We gain 2d6 slam attacks and the burn ability and the DR5, and basically very similar to the air elemental. Earth elemental, we gain a +8 size bonus to our strength, a -2 penalty to our dex, a +4 size bonus to our con, a +6 natural armor class bonus, a +1 bonus to our attack damage rolls and combat maneuvers. We gain 2d8 slam and the DR5. So, and then the last is a huge water elemental, where we gain +4 bonus to our strength, -2 to our dex, +8 to our con, +6 to our natural armor class. We get a 2d6 slam attack with our freeze, and we get our DR5, and our freeze does 2d6. So that's completes that. So let's go ahead and do next. We get another feat. Boom, boom, boom. Next. So for this feat, we took wings last time. We're now going to take superior summoning. So superior summoning, what it does is every time we cast a summoning spell that summons more than one creature, we get to have one added to the total number of creatures summoned. So let's go ahead and do next. And then complete. And our next level, Druid. Boom, boom, boom. Next. And this one, all we do is get a level up and more spells. Let's go ahead and complete. And next. And at this point, we are going to take a feat we've been ignoring that quite often casters take at a much lower level, and that's combat casting, which basically helps you if you're throwing spells inside the radius of someone who can hit you. So normally in most characters I would take that much sooner. There were just other feats I wanted more. Now if you were a human and didn't want the wings, then you could probably redo this whole thing, but I think this is a pretty solid build and will let you use your natural forms much more often because you won't have the ultra low armor class. And then go ahead and complete. So, next level Druid. This one's again, all we're going to do is gain spells. Well, we also gain a point of dex. So boom, boom, boom. And next. And complete. Next level, another level in Druid. Doom, doom, doom. And next. And at this level, what we're going to take is Vital Strike. Vital Strike basically lets you do extra damage. So basically, if you do a single attack that deals more damage than normal. As a standard action, you can make one attack at your highest base attack roll that deals additional. Roll the weapon's damage dice for that attack twice and add the results together before you add your bonuses. So if you're having problems hitting with your other attacks, you can basically just do one attack and double the dice of damage, which for your slam attacks, would be reasonable. Now you're not going to get your bonuses all twice or all that sort of stuff, but it still gives you a combat option you wouldn't otherwise have. So next. And complete. So 18th level. This is again going to be a just general gain. No specific abilities or anything new. So next. Complete. 19th level. This will get our last feat. Boom, boom, boom. And next. So they have several suggestions here. Now you could get weapon focus if you need the extra +1. You can get improved critical, stuff like that, but we'll go with improved critical strike, which basically means you do 3 times the dice. So you could do 6d8 dice with your slam if you make it as a single attack. So we will go ahead and select that. And next. And complete. And our last level. Next. We get 1 point. We really have no place to put just 1 point. So I am going to throw it in the wisdom just so that we can say we have a 21 wisdom. We're a very wise, venerable druid. And then 26, 30, and 28. So we've got fairly good skill bonuses for the 3 we concentrated in. And then go ahead and next. Complete. And there we are. So now what we're going to do is look at some of the spells and give some recommendations on spells for this build. Okay. If you're probably going to be using your pet a lot, Acid Maul basically lets them do additional damage with their bite. So it's worth a spell that's worth taking. Cure Light Wounds. Remember, you can't substitute for cure spells that you substitute for summon spells, so you're going to have to take cure spells if you want to have them. Entangle has got the usual problem of area effect spells, but other than that is very useful. If you're going to do archery, Aspect of the Falcon's good. You've got your Fire Belly, your Flare Burst, a lot of the summon current spells. You can remove Sickness, which actually has a duration. Which gives +4 against disease, nausea, and sickened effects. And if you're already under the effects of it, it suppresses it for the duration of the spell. Another good one is Magic Fang, which basically lasts 1 minute per level and gives you a +1 on attack and damage rolls for slam, attack, fist bite, or any other natural weapon. And realize that you can throw this on yourself when you get your forms later. And another one of the ones you get, Summon Nature's Ally. It's pretty much like the other summon spells, except you get different things. In this case, you get a Might, who will act according to initiative and that. So basically, you get a little Might who comes and helps you. So, second level spells. You got Aspect of the Bear. You gain a +2 to your natural armor and a +2 on CMD. You also gain the ability to perform a Bull Rush combat maneuver. So, this is a spell you can use when you're not in animal form. It only affects you. I do not know what happens if you throw it on an animal form. I don't know if it would stack, since it's an enhancement bonus to natural armor. But it would give you advantage in CMD. Bear's Endurance. Basically, here's your standard buffs: bull strengths, cat's grace. Bark Skin. Bark Skin actually has a fair duration, 10 minutes per level. It gives you a +2 natural armor bonus, and this enhancement increases by 1 for every 3 caster levels to a max of +5 at 12th level. But the advantage of this enhancement bonus, it specifically stacks with your natural armor bonus, but not with any other enhancement bonuses to natural armor. So a creature without natural armor has an effective natural armor bonus of +0. So I assume that this one would actually stack with your other forms. And then you got your hold animal, your frigid touch, natural rhythm. Basically, you could throw that on your pet or yourself later. For each consecutive hit you make, the damage is multiplied. Every time the creature successfully strikes an opponent with natural attack, each consecutive hits against the same opponent deals extra damage equal to the number of previous consecutive hits. So every time you hit, you get another +1 to your damage. Let's see. Sickening Entanglement is basically an entanglement that sickens people. So your summon spell here is Small Elemental. Or you can summon a giant frog or 1 to 3 mites. So 3rd level, there's your cures. You get your burst of nettles. People take 3d8 6, 1d6 acid on the next round. Those that save take half damage and no damage on the next round. So it's basically all creatures within a 10-foot burst centered on a target creature. And of course the Druid's favorite spell, Call Lightning, which does vertical bolt doing 3d6. So you got your greater magic fang, which lasts much longer, 1 hour per level. Now you got neutralize, protection, poison, remove disease. Most of the normal ones. You get spike growth, which is another all enemies within a 40-foot burst center and target within medium range. It basically bear earth roots and act in the same way. All creatures moving on foot into or through the spell's area that takes 1d6 points of piercing damage for every 5 feet of movement through the spiked area. So basically, anytime someone moves, they take damage unless they have a way to prevent it. This is another spell that's uncommon. You create an area of healing mud. The mud functions like difficult terrain. When a creature enters the mud, it is healed 1d4 points of ability damage. Only can heal this way once per day. Also each round after the mud restores 1 hit point to the creature. This healing is unaffected by the effects increase of creature's healing. So you can go stand in the mud, which will last 1 round per level, and it will cure 1d4 points of your ability damage, and also 1 point for each round you're in there. And your 3rd level summon spell, you can get a natural leopard, 1d3 natural giant frogs, or 1d4 plus natural mites. So 4th level, you have your dispels. One of the unique ones is Cape of Wasp. A dense cloud of vermin gives you partial concealment against ranged attacks. Any creature that makes a successful melee attack against you takes 2d6 points of swarm damage and poison from the wasp swarm, but is not affected by the swarm's distraction ability. So basically you have your own personal swarm that you don't take damage from that are sailing around you. Basically, echolocation gives you blind sight to 40 feet. Most of these are standard ones. Your medium elemental, spiked stones. This spell, a natural dire boar, 1d3 leopards, or 1d4 plus 1 natural giant frogs. You can no longer get mites. So you can basically get a green slime attack for someone that does 1d3 points of constitution per round. So you can only use it to spread to living creatures, and it can't spread to others and that. Flame Strike. Basically 1d6 points of damage per caster level, half damage if half is fire, the other half is divine, and therefore not subject to being reduced by resistance to fire-based attacks. The Thorn Body, which basically you grow thorns from your body, which with a melee weapon, an unarmed strike, or a natural, take 1d6 points of piercing damage plus 1 point per caster level. It does not affect reach weapons. And creatures that successfully grapple you take 2d6. So you're really thorny. And Volcanic Storm. Chunks of hot volcanic rock and clumps of ash come down, dealing 3d6 bludgeoning and 2d6 points of fire damage to every creature in the area. And for the rest of the duration, basically heavy ash comes down, and that in difficult movement. So you get Stone Skin at 5th. You get Animal Growth, where you can target one friendly creature within medium range, which would include your pet. Baleful Polymorph, where you change the subject into a dog. It can't attack. Its intelligence, wisdom, and charisma is dropped to 1, and it loses any ability it had to cast spells or use spell-like abilities. Its movement speed is increased by 10 feet, however. So basically it really messes somebody up. Blessing of the Salamander, you turn slick slimy, able to regenerate damage each round. Using the effective spell, creature gains fast healing 5, fire resistance 20, and a +2 competent bonus to its combat maneuver. So there are lots of spells here to throw on your animal forms to make them better. Call Lightning Storm basically functions like Call Lightning, except each bolt does 5d6 points of damage at long range and may call a maximum of 15 bolts, so you can just keep calling it down on people. This one's a magical trap where they attack you. Fire Snake is basically sort of a line of fire that snakes through people. 1d6 points of fire damage per caster level. This one lets you turn into a type of genie. Summon large elemental. And for your ally 5, you can get a mana core, 1 to 3 dire boars, or 1d4 plus 1 natural leopards. And you also get Vine Trap. 6th level spells. You get Stone Skin Communal. Great spell. Takes 10 diamond dust. Just be aware it's an expensive spell, and be sure you stock up on diamond dust. It's not ungodly expensive, but you do have to keep that in mind. And you got your Masked Bull Strength, your Masked Bear's Endurance. These are all good spells to have. Plague Storm. Basically, you contract one of the following diseases and they get horribly ill. This one basically gets rid of someone's ability for higher reasoning, allowing their darker impulse to come to the fore. An affected target becomes a ravaging monster, savage, bloodthirsty, and brutish. Till the spell ends, the targets have all the following benefits and drawbacks. Target's intelligence and charisma scores are dropped to 1, and they are unable to cast spells. They have a -4 penalty in will saves. They gain a +6 enhancement bonus to strength, a +2 natural armor bonus to AC, and 2d8 temporary hit points. These temporary hit points disappear at the end of the spell. So if you want to turn someone into a raging monster, you can do it. You summon Huge Elemental. So now when you summon, you get a natural Smilodon, 1d3 natural Manticores, or 1d4 plus 1 natural Direboars. And you get the Tar Pool, which is basically each layer of ground turns into hot tar. Areas in it take 1d6 fire damage per 2 caster levels and must succeed a reflex save or become entangled. So it's another version of their entangle spell. 7th level, you get heal, you get true sight, you get cure moderate mass. So you get basically a ranged cold physical negative energy attack. This lets you turn an ordinary quarterstaff into a treant. It appears when you designate and acts according to its initiative. Check results. It attacks your opponents to the best of its ability. But you do have to have a quarterstaff. Firestorm basically shoots a roaring flame. Creatures take 1d6 points of fire damage per caster level. Creatures that fail their reflex save catch on fire, taking 4d6 points of damage each round. After that, until the fires are extinguished by making a successful reflex save. Legendary proportions. This does not work on outsiders, undead, or summoned creatures. Your target grows to legendary proportions, increasing by size by 2 categories. Target's height doubles and its weight increases by a factor of 12. Target gains +6 size bonus to strength, +4 size bonus to con, +6 bonus to natural honor, and DR10 adamantine. Melee and ranged weapons used by this creature deal more damage. Summon your greater elementals. Summon Nature Ally. You can get a Mastodon, 1d3 natural Smilodons, 1d4 plus 1 natural Manticores. And here you get a Sunbeam. You can use a standard action to evoke a dazzling beam of intense sunlight each round. Each time you invoke a beam, the spell's duration is reduced by 3 rounds. Each creature in the beam is blinded and takes 4d6 points of damage. A reflex save negates. Let me know if you want me in the future to go through the spells like this and point some of the spells out. If not, I certainly can not do that. That's perfectly fine. And I'll do it always at the end, so if you decide you don't want to look at that, that's perfectly fine. Okay, 8th level, you get your Cure Serious, you get your Finger of Death. Frightful Aspect, basically you become a larger, awful version of yourself and take on features that horrify your enemies. Give you +6 size bonus to strength, +4 size bonus to con, and a +6 natural armor class bonus, DR10 magic. So I do not know if you can do that on top of your other forms. That would be interesting to test. So this really doesn't sound like that exciting a spell, but there you see it. It basically makes someone euphoric. This one, you basically cover yourself with pure water. You gain cover, +8 cover bonus to AC, +4 on reflexes against foes that do not have freedom of movement. You also gain immunity to fire. Cover granted by the sea mantle does not enable you to make stealth checks to prevent attacks of opportunity. Magical attacks against you are unaffected unless they require attack rolls. You got your Summon Elder Elemental. Sorry. Summon Nature's Allies 8, where you get a natural Nereid, 1d3 or 1d3 natural Mastodons, or 1d4 plus natural Smilodons. And then you have Sunburst, a globe of searing radiance to explode silently from a point you select. Everything in the globe is blinded and takes 66 points of damage. Undead creatures within the globe take 1d6 points of damage per caster level to a max of 25d6, which I'm not sure how that can work since you can't be more than 20th level, or half damage with a successful reflex save. And finally, the 9th level spells, the creme de la creme. So you have your Cure Critical Wounds Mass, or basically, same as the clerics. You have Death Clutch. Any target with 200 or fewer hit points remaining that fails its saving throw is instantly killed. A target of 201 more hit points that fails its saving throw manages to keep its heart from leaping out of its chest, but is still staggered for 1 minute, takes 1d4 points of Constitution drain and 1d4 points of Constitution bleed. Regardless of its current hit points, if the target succeeds at its Fortitude save, it will be staggered for 1 round, as it feels its heart wrenching within its chest. You have your clashing rocks, 2 colossal masses of rock, dirt, and stones slammed together against a single creature. You get your Elemental Swarm, where you summon, you can 2d4 large elementals appear. 5 rounds later, 1d4 huge elementals appear. 5 rounds after that, 1 greater elemental appears. So this is really a nasty attack spell. But then again, at 20th level, when you have 9th level spells, you're going to be fighting some pretty horrible things. Polar Midnight. You purge an area into the bitter cheer of Arctic night. All creatures take 5d6 cold damage, 1d6 points of dex damage per round. The successful Fortitude save each round negates the dex damage, but not the cold damage. And it lasts 1 round per level, and at this levels, you're going to be talking a long time. And your big summon spell for this is Summon Elder Worm, a purple worm with the advanced creature template. Summon ally appears when you designate, so you basically get a huge purple worm. And then for your final 9th level summon ally, you can summon a natural Hamadryad, 1d3 natural Nereids, 1d4 plus natural Mastodons. Ooh, I would be so tempted to summon a herd of Mastodons. And then you have Tsunami. You create a massive wave of water that moves its straight line across land at a speed of 50 feet per round. Creatures struck by it take 24d6 points of bludgeoning damage. In addition, every creature must succeed on a combat maneuver roll, athletic check, or mobility check against the DC of this spell, or be knocked prone and carried away by the wave. Freedom of movement prevents you from being carried away, but does not prevent you from being hit by it. But it only lasts 1 round, so it only basically moves people 50 feet away. So that is my incredibly long Druid building thing. So like I said, let me know if you want the spells. It really adds to the length of the video, so if I do it, it will always be at the end so that people can just ignore it if they want. So as always, if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and give me a like or a comment. And if you disliked the episode, leaving me a dislike's fine, but please leave a comment saying why you disliked the episode. As always, this is Spidey1958, and have fun gaming.